Welcome to everyone in Sverige and hello to everyone else. You're in session number 19 at NestGen 22, Earth Observations by Drones for a Sustainable Future. And here you learn how autonomous crowdsourced drones are replacing satellites and collecting and scaling HT Earth observation data across the globe. Launching satellites up into our ionosphere for data collection, research, and change detection has been a common practice among the scientific community. But several environmentalists have reported that the debris that breaks off the hardware, what they call space junk, is hazardous for space stations and contributes to sky pollution. Further, as more of the near Earth and low Earth orbits become privatized, restricted, open distribution of this data becomes a challenge. So, apart from the primary uses for satellites, which are communication, weather reporting, and navigation, it's not always scalable or economical to collect data with satellites. Drones have been considered a viable alternative to satellites due to their low maintenance requirements, high availability, and high quality cameras. As this technology spreads across the world with more pilots and aerial automation systems, drones see great potential in the Earth observation sphere. And who better to shed more light on this than our expert speaker, Helena Samsio, the CEO and founder of Globi, a tech company on a mission to create a better future with drones through the world's first crowd learning platform. Helena is a firm believer that the future of possible is already here and passionate about using innovative technology and collaborations to drive global awareness. Helena is in Forbes' list of the world's top 50 women in tech and was awarded the title Suite of the Year Innovation 2020, ranked among the top 100 young business leaders in Sweden, and is among the top women to watch in the drone industry. She was also nominated for Digital Influencer of the Year and has been featured as the Drone Queen on BBC. Oh my God. I'm so happy to have you here with us, Helena. Passing the mic over to you, and I will stop sharing my screen.
Thank you very much, Swati, for that fantastic introduction. And it's really an honor to be here with all of you at NextGen today. I will be sharing with you all how we are conducting Earth observation by drones globally for a more sustainable future. And the way that we have decided to go about this is to create the world's first crowd-owning platform. And it really is what the name suggests. It's a crowdsourcing solution to be able to tap into all the drones ideally out there and all the drone operators so that we can collect Earth observation at high resolution and at scale. And as we all know, every single individual drone image is very powerful. But obviously, if we can really scale the collection of drone images, the amount of drone images can tell us even more information. So that is what we're doing at crowd-owning. We are currently connected to over 5,400 drone operators in 102 countries who are collecting drone data on demand for our clients. And some of the milestones that we have achieved by applying this concept so far is that we have been able to contribute to that 1.9 million people are living in reduced risk areas for malaria. 2.3 million people are living in reduced risk areas for water pollution, and we have increased access to clean energy for 1.2 million people. I will tell you a little bit more about how this concept works, and as well as also go into a little bit more about detail about the use cases that we have so far applied crowd-owning in. And what crowding really is all about is to utilize the power of the crowd and its drones out there, so that we can allow organizations, corporations, and researchers around the world to get high resolution data in real time, and to be able to by doing so, be able to make more informed decisions when they are being able to identify what the world truly looks like. So crowd-owning enables organizations to search and filter and request drone data from currently 102 countries, and be able to select what type of data that they are requesting from these type of areas. So anything from just the raw data, so to say, the JPEG, or 3Ds, or elevation maps, such a difficult word sometimes to pronounce, thermal data, and so forth. And that request is then being matched with the closest drone operator in the country, or the closest drone operators, because many times we also have several drone operators and drones out flying at the same time. And we currently, as mentioned, have drone operators in 102 countries by residence, but also cover 151 countries by the availability and legal abilities to fly in more countries than the one that you live in. So basically, what our platform enables organizations to do is to search and filter among the closest drone operators to the area that you are requesting data from. And then the closest operator or operators pick up the request, flies that mission, collects the data, and then our clients are able to seamlessly get access to that data. Through API integration directly into the client's platform, or if our clients do not have that type of capability, then they are able to download the data separately. So currently, as mentioned, pretty much any data sets that any type of common drone software out there produce is available through crowd owning. It depends on obviously what the client has requested, and that is the type of data then that the client can then download and access. And obviously, this is the way that we have created the platform, is to really solve the pain point that previously it was quite not scalable to use drone data at the global scale, because you will have to have connections from several providers, and the whole upload and download of data was quite time consuming. So this is a really automated way to be able to automatically receive data from drones around the world. And we are providing some also seamless integration with some of the big GIS and Earth data platforms out there, such as Google Earth and also ArcGIS and Esri. Now I will dig into talk a little bit more about some of the use cases where we are currently applying crowd owning, and how crowd owning drones are contributing and collecting Earth observation data for different types of use cases in these areas. So we are working within Earth observations, but obviously within Earth observation, there are quite some different fields that we are collecting data in, and we primarily collect data for health, water, environment, and infrastructure. And one of our use cases within the health area is that we are currently providing malaria vector control data in Malawi to researchers that are now identifying malaria hotspots and risk areas by identifying data from crowd droning. And the way that works is that previous research has conducted that if a drone data image contains 3 different type of visual characteristics that are relating to water levels, water color, water movements, and vegetation levels, then they are able to pinpoint more accurately where mosquito larvae lay their eggs. And by doing so, being able to pinpoint where national malaria vector control efforts should be allocated towards, and being able to spray and drain in these areas, and ultimately being able to prevent malaria outbreaks in these areas. This method was previously used by going out by cars and collecting and taking water samples. And now we are able to visualize instead what a typical malaria breeding site looks like, and are able to fly drones over lake areas and be able to collect these data insights at a much higher rate and a higher scale, so that these type of insights can reach the decision makers faster, and by doing so, being able to take action quicker, and being able to identify areas at risk at a much higher rate. We also are applying crowd owning currently in Sweden, where we are monitoring water pollution such as oil spills and algae bloom. And by doing so, also being able to warn water purification plants about certain type of changes that are coming towards the water purification plants, so that they can ensure that the communities have access to safe and clean drinking water, no matter what type of pollution that it's coming their way, so to say. And before crowd owning, this type of insights were gathered from satellite data. But the issue that they have seen with satellite data is that it's often not real time, and it's often also not at the high resolution needed to be able to truly identify what some of those characteristics in the waters truly is. So the high resolution and the time aspect here makes drone data a really great complement to satellites. And that is really what this is all about. It's not about necessarily replacing satellites with drone data, because for different use cases and different reasons, satellites are obviously the prime source of insights. But this could be a really great complement to satellites when you need the high resolution or you need the more real time to be able to scan satellite images and maybe see certain type of movements moving towards some of the water purification plants, but you're not able to really tell from the satellite data what those type of movements entail. Then you can send out drones through crowd owning to these selected spots and get the high res real-time data to be able to make more informed decisions based on that. We're also doing solar park inspections in Cyprus, and even more so, we're doing solar park monitoring and planning, so that we are actually being able to provide information where are the most suitable areas to build new solar parks, depending on angles and obviously solar. The best position for the solar parks to be located in, so that they are able to provide the highest amount of energy. And last but not least, we're also doing a lot of natural disaster, both prevention and response. And this is an example from Fiji, where we are monitoring damages post storms and cyclones and hurricanes, and by doing so, being able to inform decision makers, such as the UN, where have the most damages occurred, and where do we need to prioritize relief efforts, as well as also being able to make sure that infrastructure companies are informed of what type of infrastructure damages that there might have been roads that have been destroyed or bridges that have been collapsed and so forth. We're also applying this in a prevention perspective. So we're warning for drought before it becomes a wildfire, or we are monitoring water levels over time so that we can warn for potential flooding. So these are some of the use cases of how crowd owning is making a difference out there today, but the impact and the use cases are really growing by the day, and so are the number of drones and number of drone operators that are being part of crowd owning. So we have every day we have new contributors joining the movement, and it's really quite a fascinating journey to be a part of. Of course, you know, there are potentials to scale and automate even more in the future when regulatory frameworks allow for that. But there's also a really great opportunity to make a difference with your drone out there today already, and that is truly enabled by crowd owning. So it's a win-win truly for everyone involved, both the drone operators who are able to receive paid flying gigs by flying for crowd owning by Globi, be able to help their own communities with climate data, and also for our clients who are able to take part of that data, and by doing so can make more informed decisions that are beneficial for their operations. So I would like to then conclude the session and open up for any questions that the audience might have.
Great, thank you so much for that lovely presentation. I understand that, as you said, drone data is more of a complementary solution to satellites rather than complete replacement.
Indeed.
Yes. Insightful, very, very lovely presentation. I can clearly see that as you try to scale this global movement, even I suppose automation in some way can help humans collect and process huge volumes of data when it keeps growing in a faster and easier way. And yeah, I suppose operators around the world, when they have access to this data, they can make their own local contributions to build this intricate map. That's very, very interesting. So I suppose we'll wait for a bit to have questions coming in.
Absolutely.
And yeah, until then, I suppose, yeah, you can probably maybe show us a few videos if you have that. But if not, like we can I actually have a question. Do you do drone flights yourself, or do you only
Yes,
provide the
no,
passenger?
I fly myself, and it's funny. I used to say that before I started a company within drones. That is actually when I was flying drones more frequently, and now it's more of a matter of making sure that my time and focus goes towards coordinating the company and coordinating, obviously, the team at the headquarters here in Stockholm, but also all our operators around the world. So my own time to fly has been a little bit more limited nowadays, but I am a drone pilot since 7 years back. So I try to be able to get back to basics basically when time allows, and I think it's also great to be able to to be able to stay on top of some of the latest developments, and I just get back to the passion of why I started Globi in the first place, really. So I'm looking here for some good videos to show in the meantime. So let me see what we can find here.
Great, and probably that'll spur up some conversations. Yeah.
So let me see here. I'll play a video here, and we'll see if there are any questions coming in.
Yeah, sure. I'm also looking at our social media and Discord for questions. So yeah.
Thousands of drones flying around in our skies every day. Never before have we had access to so much data. At Globi, we thought, what if we could tap into all these drones and use the data these drones capture to help prevent and respond to disasters? So we did. We recently launched Crowd Droning by Globi, a first of its kind digital platform making drone data available in a whole new way and at a whole new scale by matching drone pilots globally to clients in need of data that matters. Today, over 3,700 drone pilots in over 70 countries are connected to Crowd Droning by Globi, ready to collect drone data on demand.
Hi, I'm Dumi, and I'm the Union Gobi drone pilot.
At Globi, we are firm believers that the future of possible is already here and passionate about using innovative technology and collaborations to show it. Globi has been recognized time and time again by world-leading publications such as Forbes and BBC as an innovator and a company ahead of their time. Crowdfunding by Globi enables our clients, ranging from humanitarian organizations to notable corporations, to order drone data at global scale in just a few clicks. What was previously a complex process for our clients is now reduced to the simplicity of ordering an Uber. As an added value, Crowdfunding by Globi also helps reduce carbon dioxide, since all our drones are battery driven, as well as we help fueling the global gig economy by providing paid freelance gigs to drone pilots around the world. Growing up, I lived in 5 different countries. When I lived in Zambia, I saw freelance drone pilots working on photography projects for National Geographic. I realized that this photography can be used in data as well, not just as beautiful pictures. So I started to connect drone pilots who wanted to be part of providing social impact around the world. Today, that has grown into a global movement, and I'm proud to say Globi has started to change how the world looks at drones. The impact potential and the economic potential of drones are quite limitless. Or as we like to say, the sky is not the limit. We hope you want to join us on the journey of creating a better future with drones.
Amazing.
Yeah, so I've been looking a little bit in the chat here. Not seeing any questions yet, but some good comments about the session. That's always great to see. So yeah, let me know if there are any questions on your end, Swati, or the team.
Yeah, I see one question in the Q&A section.
Great.
Yeah, so he asks, how do you see such new approaches and business models taking into consideration sustainable stakes and crowd issues solving thanks to such drone initiatives?
Let's see, stakes and crowd issues also. Yeah. I really think this is a really great question, because I think one of the approaches here is really about being able to also not just innovate with technology, but also innovate when it comes to business model. And that is something that we are doing as part of the journey with crowdrunning. So one of the issues that we have seen among organizations and corporations around the world wanting to implement data from drones, or drones in general, is that the pricing has been really hard to identify. So especially also if you are in need of gathering data from several different providers or several different countries. So what we are doing at Globi is to make sure that the clients are being able to see and measure the pricing in one unit. So going back some years ago, we have drone operators that were pricing themselves per hectare or per square kilometer or per square meter or per minute in the air, hour in the air. There were just multiple different type of how you price yourself. And that has been one of the obstacles for large corporations that need data at scale to really identify what is it that we're paying for. And if we need to have a contract with 60 different providers, are we going to have 60 different pricing methods? So we have turned into all these multiple pricing units, we've turned into one pricing unit and being megabytes, because at the end of the day, the client doesn't care how long the drone has been in the air, how large areas necessarily. They care about the data that they get and the insights that they can make based on that data. So we are pricing ourselves per megabyte to make it really easy for the client to understand that obviously the more data, the more megabytes they buy, the more expensive that it gets. But it's a transition in progress. So pricing and business model is definitely one area. And then also we are trying to go a little bit more from the sudden sporadic, just on-demand orders to more subscription data. Because obviously we're seeing in a lot of the Earth observation data that we collect for our clients, it makes also sense to be able to compare and monitor over time. So I think as the world becomes a little bit more aware and continue to understand that this is insights that drones can provide, they will go from being curious and try it out once to becoming reoccurring subscription clients really. And I think not least now when we know that we need to focus a lot on the climate, we need to be more informed, we need to follow up, we need to measure. There are quite a large initiatives started by governments globally and organizations, corporations as well, to really be a part of that. So I do think that the need for different type of climate data will keep growing, along with the understanding of the world, basically, that drones is one of the tools where you can really get these type of essential data from. All right, then I see another great question here. Do I believe in full autonomy, including the docking stations, will help your clients? Maybe the tech is not ready to have a drone box go at a random location to be able to see it. Yeah, another great question. So I definitely think that we will have a mix of both. I do think for certain clients and certain use cases, definitely the full autonomy docking stations will make sense, especially if you have a closed off area, not in public, that needs to be frequently monitored. I think that is where the docking stations, the autonomous docking stations, will make a lot of sense. But if you need to fly in a little bit more complex areas that are not so closed off, or if you are not in need of that frequent data gatherings, for instance, we know that cell tower monitoring might not be the smartest business case to have a drone docking station at every tower, because the scans you need are most likely just one scan per year, or if a certain event has occurred, such a natural disaster, then it's better to utilize the crowd drone who can be able to move and scan many towers based on one drone, so to say. And of course, we have the legal complexity as well. I think that it's obviously something that will change, but it will not change overnight. So I think we are moving towards a future where for some use cases it will make sense with docking stations, and in some use cases it will make more sense to be able to have the operator present. But it's important to also know that most of our operators are flying autonomously, and so their main job is not really to fly the drone. Their main job is really to get the drones to where the drone needs to do the work, basically, and also to be able to follow regulations and be able to take over if necessary. So the crowd with their drones is obviously there to fly, but they're also there to be able to provide the drones in the first place. And I think that we are quite some years before we do see docking stations in any available location that it might be needed data from. So I think a mix. I think we will see a mix for a foreseeable future.
Great. That was actually a really great answer, and yeah, it does make sense. So I have a question.
Yeah.
So is there a screening process that a pilot has to go through to be a data collector?
So to be able to sign up as a data collector, it's actually really easy. You just enter a few questions and you get part of the roster. But to be able to be fully verified to take on a flight, you need to provide more information and be part of a bigger screening process. But then before you get selected for your first mission, we might also ask for additional requirements that might be needed based on the specific location or the specific requirements for that flight. So it's a little bit of a step-by-step process, but to be able to just join the movement and to be able to be considered is fairly straightforward. So it's an easy sign-up process at globy.com where you can enter just your key information, and then you can complete your profile step by step to enhance your chances of getting picked for a mission.
That's great. So you also see hobbyists and just enthusiasts, drone enthusiasts.
Yeah, that is a tricky question, because we do really encourage hobbyists and enthusiasts to join as well, but for several reasons we are not fully able to implement them in every mission. So both from a legal perspective, so we want everyone to be insured, we want everyone to have the permissions needed, but then also from a business perspective, it's harder not to do a business to private person transaction. So B2B transactions are preferred. So both from a legal responsibility and business perspective, we want primarily to work with other drone operators, but it could be one person company for sure. But ideally it should be a company, so that we have the full requirements to be able to collaborate together.
Okay, all right. That's great. I suppose our session has come to a short end, and honestly, I sincerely respect what you're doing for the environment and for global health. I'm sure at this point, the audience would have also felt the same. I'm somewhat of an environmentalist myself. I try to live as sustainably as possible. I can try to consume mindfully, read up on alternatives to like traditional sources of power, among many other things. And yeah, I really, it was a lovely session, Helena, and I can't wait to know more about Globy. And yeah, if audience, if you're just joining in, you can reach Helena at, she'll give you her email ID, right?
Absolutely. I will make sure that I put the email. So I make sure that you have the contact information both to our website and our email. And you can definitely reach out if there are any questions that you would like, or if you want to join the movement, then we're definitely here to help you do that and to collaborate going forward. So thank you very much for having me here at NestGen today. It was really a great pleasure to be able to be here, Jay.
Yes, likewise. We loved having you. Thank you so much.
Thanks.